I was walking around my neighborhood the other day and noticed the corbels or brackets were done pretty much one way at all the corners of houses. They were adjacent to each other, tight at the corner of the building. Now, I've always set in the brackets from the corner, 10 or 12 inches, and I like to use a 45-degree corner bracket when I can. In the South Florida interpretation of West Indies architecture, if they were indeed exposed rafter tails, the version of a 45-degree corner with 90-degree brackets set back a short distance would be the authentic rendition. I've seen the brackets meeting at the corner, mainly in the Italian 8 style. But even then, when there's a treatment on the corner of the building, they are centered on the corner treatment. Or in the case of a porch, they're centered on the column and thus away from the corner. Now, which is correct? Those solutions make sense, don't they? Well, here's what I learned. There was a similar argument about triglyphs that went on for centuries. A triglyph is an architectural term for a vertical channeled tablet in the Doric frieze in classical architecture. The triglyph is an ornamental stone design representing the ends of the wooden beams that were used in prior architectural styles. The wooden beams were notched in two separate places to cast their rough-cut ends, mainly to create shadows, but also to shed rainwater. Now, Greek architecture and later Roman architecture preserved this feature, as well as many other features that were standard in original wooden buildings, as a tribute to the origins of architecture and its role in history. Typically, the triglyphs were centered over the columns, as they would have been in the prior wooden structure designs. But there was a little head scratching about what to do when you reached the corner of the temple. Now, because triglyphs represented beam ends, the Greeks insisted that the end triglyph be flush with the corner. Now, this resulted in two undesirable side effects. The neighboring metope, the space that is usually carved between the triglyphs, was now wider than the other metopes, and worse still, the end triglyph was no longer centered over the end column. The Greeks attempted several options to compensate, like moving the neighboring triglyph over to split the difference, preserving the metope spacing by bringing in the corner, and a wider corner triglyph, and a combination of all these. However, an acceptable solution was not to be found, as every attempt resulted in the corner triglyph not being centered over the end column, and there was either unequal metopes, triglyphs, or column spacing. Now, this replica of the Greek Parthenon in Nashville, Tennessee, exemplifies equally spaced triglyphs and metopes. This building is within walking distance of where we're hosting the AIBD Design and Build Summer Conference. Good thing. And now that it's been pointed out, I can see that the space between the corner columns and their interior counterparts is less than the space between all the other columns in the center. And now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. But at least the building is symmetrical, right? So, the Romans come along, totally indifferent to the Greeks' beliefs, honked their heads, and came up with a simple solution. Let's move the triglyph back from the corner, aligning it over the center of the column. Problem solved, unless you're Greek. I hope this sheds a little light on the psychology of why some things are the way they are in architecture. In my research, I came across 3 other dilemmas in classical architecture, and I'd like to share them with you during the next few weeks. In the meantime, go back to the email that brought you here, and please support those supporting the organization that is supporting you, our advertisers. Also, check out the events that are going on in AIBD. Now, thanks for watching this entire video, and have a triumphant week.